There comes a moment in life when we realize peace isn't about the absence of noise, conflict, or criticism. Peace is about choosing how much access those things get to our hearts. Acting like nothing disturbs you anymore is not about shutting down or pretending. It's about cultivating an inner strength that allows you to stand tall when the world gets heavy. When we talk about acting like nothing disturbs us anymore, it always begins with self-worth. Because the truth is, what people say, what they do, and even what life throws at us, those things only stick, only sting if we've built our identity on fragile ground. Think about it, if your worth is tied to approval, then one harsh comment can feel like a collapse. If your value is tied to achievement, then one failure can feel like the end. But when your worth is rooted deep within you, when it is steady and unshakable, the noise around you can't drown it out. Anchoring yourself in self-worth means deciding over and over again that you are not the sum of other people's opinions. You are not your worst day. You are not the careless words someone once said about you. You are not the comparison you make when scrolling through social media at midnight. Self-worth is the quiet conviction that you matter, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. But here's the hard part. We live in a world that constantly measures us. From the time we are children, we're graded, ranked, compared, and judged. And somewhere along the way, many of us begin to believe the story that our value is conditional. We believe we're only as good as the praise we get, the job title we hold, or the way we look in the mirror. And when that's the foundation, it doesn't take much to shake us. One rejection letter, one piece of criticism, one person who walks away, and suddenly we're questioning everything about ourselves. Anchoring your worth means breaking that cycle. It means rewriting the story. And it's not easy. It takes courage. Courage to say, even if I fail, I'm still worthy. Even if they don't like me, I'm still enough. Even if I make mistakes, I'm still lovable. That's not arrogance. That's not pretending to be perfect. That's truth. And here's where it gets real. When you know your worth, disturbances don't vanish, but their power does. Someone might criticize you, and instead of spiraling into shame, you pause and ask yourself, is this feedback meant to help me grow, or is it simply noise? If it's useful, you take it. If it's not, you let it slide off your shoulders. That's what happens when you're anchored. You no longer chase every wave. You stand firm in the ocean. Anchoring in self-worth is also about practicing self-compassion, because the way we talk to ourselves matters. If your inner voice is harsh, critical, always reminding you of what you're not, then of course you'll feel disturbed by what others say. But when you cultivate a kinder voice inside, one that says, I'm proud of you, I see how hard you're trying, I forgive you for the mistakes you made, you stop needing constant validation from the outside. The anchor is already there inside of you. Sometimes the greatest test of self-worth is silence. Can you sit with yourself without distraction and still feel okay? Can you look in the mirror and instead of picking yourself apart, simply say, here I am? And that's enough. That is the practice of anchoring. And like any practice, it takes time. It takes falling and getting back up. It takes unlearning years of doubt and replacing it with steady truth. When you anchor yourself in self-worth, disturbances lose their grip. People may still talk, circumstances may still shift, challenges may still come, but you're no longer defined by them. You're grounded. You know who you are, and you refuse to hand that power away. And that's the beginning of peace. Not a fragile peace that shatters with one wrong word, but a deep, lasting peace that no storm can steal. One of the most powerful things you can learn, if you truly want to act like nothing disturbs you anymore, is the art of the pause. Life is full of moments that trigger us. Someone cuts us off in traffic, a colleague makes a dismissive remark, a loved one says something careless, or plans we counted on suddenly fall apart. Our natural instinct is to react instantly, to fire back, to defend ourselves, to make sure we're not misunderstood. But every time we do that, we hand over our peace. We let other people or fleeting circumstances dictate how we feel and how we show up. The pause changes everything. The pause is that sacred space between what happens and what you choose to do about it. It's just a breath, maybe even a few seconds of silence, but it carries an incredible power. In the pause, you get to step back from the raw emotion of the moment and ask yourself what really matters here. Do I need to engage, or can I let this go? Do I want to react from anger, or can I respond with clarity? That little bit of space can mean the difference between creating regret and creating peace. Most of us were raised in a culture that rewards speed, fast answers, fast comebacks, fast decisions. We're praised for being quick and sharp, but wisdom often lives in slowness. Wisdom is in that extra breath you take before you hit send on an email you'll regret. Wisdom is in holding your tongue instead of adding more fuel to a heated argument. Wisdom is in walking away instead of trying to win every battle. The pause is not weakness, it's strength in its most grounded form. When you pause, you're not suppressing your feelings, you're honoring them. You're giving yourself time to recognize what you're experiencing without letting it control you. For example, if someone insults you, the immediate reaction might be to fire back with something equally cutting. But in that reaction, you're being led by their energy. You're letting them decide who you are in that moment. If you pause, you realize their words are about them, not me. You remember that your dignity is more valuable than being right in a 5-second exchange. And in that pause, you reclaim your power. Practicing the pause doesn't mean you never speak up or set boundaries. It means you choose your response deliberately instead of reacting impulsively. Sometimes the pause leads you to calmly assert yourself. Sometimes it leads you to disengage altogether. The point is, you're in control, not the situation, not the other person, not your first rush of anger or fear. The pause is your reminder that you always have a choice. It takes practice, because our emotions can feel so immediate and overwhelming. Think of it like training a muscle. At first, you may forget to pause and only realize it later. When you're replaying the moment in your mind, that's okay. Awareness is the first step. Over time, you begin to catch yourself in the moment. You take one breath, then two. You learn to sit in the discomfort without exploding. And slowly you discover that this pause is a form of peace you can carry anywhere. The beauty of the pause is that it communicates without words. People notice when you don't get rattled, when you don't lash out, when you don't join the drama. Your stillness speaks louder than any argument. It shows that you've built an inner calm that isn't easily disturbed. And perhaps most importantly, it shows yourself that you're capable of more control, more grace, more dignity than you once believed. Acting like nothing disturbs you anymore doesn't mean nothing touches you. It means that when life brushes against your spirit, you've trained yourself to breathe, to wait, to choose. The pause is a declaration: I will not be a prisoner to reaction. I will be a steward of my peace. And that is where real freedom begins. One of the heaviest burdens we carry is the illusion that we can control everything. We want people to act a certain way. We want situations to unfold according to our expectations, and we want life to be predictable and fair. But the truth is, no matter how hard we try, there are countless things outside our control. Other people's choices, the words they use, their moods, their judgments, even the unexpected events that shake our plans. When we cling to these things, when we try to force them into our idea of how they should be, we end up drained, anxious, and constantly disturbed. The path to peace begins when we decide to release what isn't ours to manage. Releasing what you can't control doesn't mean giving up or being indifferent. It means accepting reality as it is, instead of exhausting yourself trying to bend it to your will. Think of it like carrying a rope. If someone is pulling on the other end and you grip tighter, you end up in a painful tug of war that burns your hands and leaves you wounded. But the moment you let go, you feel relief. The situation may not change instantly, but the suffering inside of you begins to ease. So much of what disturbs us comes from holding on to expectations of how people should act. We tell ourselves, they should respect me, they should support me, they should understand. And while those expectations are human and often fair, clinging to them only hurts us when others don't meet them. Releasing doesn't mean lowering your standards or accepting mistreatment. It means acknowledging that you cannot control another person's behavior. You can only control how you respond, the boundaries you set, and the energy you allow into your space. There's deep freedom in that shift. Imagine being in a storm. You can't control the rain, the wind, or the thunder, but you can decide to carry an umbrella, wear a coat, or find shelter. The storm rages on, but you are no longer helpless. That is what it means to release. Instead of fighting the storm, you choose how to protect your peace within it. The practice of release also applies to the past. Many of us stay disturbed because we keep replaying things that are already gone, words we wish we hadn't said, opportunities we missed, relationships that ended. We grip them tightly in our minds as if replaying them could rewrite history. But it never does. The only thing it does is steal the present moment. Releasing the past doesn't erase it, but it loosens its grip on us. It allows us to live forward instead of backward. And then there's the future, the great unknown. We try to script it, plan it, control it, but the truth is the future has always been uncertain. Worrying endlessly about what might happen doesn't prevent pain, it only multiplies it. Releasing the future means preparing where you can, but also trusting that you will meet tomorrow with the strength and wisdom you need. It's a reminder that you don't have to control everything ahead of time. You only need to handle one moment at a time. Of course, release is not something you do once. It's a daily practice. It's waking up and reminding yourself, not everything is mine to fix. Not every battle is mine to fight. Not every weight is mine to carry. It's choosing to put down what isn't yours over and over again until it becomes natural. And the surprising thing is, the more you release, the lighter you feel, the less disturbed you become. Not because life stopped being chaotic, but because you stopped trying to hold chaos in your hands. When you finally release what you can't control, you open yourself up to peace. You stop wasting your energy on things that are not yours to manage, and you invest it in the things you can shape: your growth, your choices, your presence, your joy. That shift doesn't just change your mind, it changes your whole way of living. And slowly you begin to realize disturbances still exist, but they no longer own you. You are free. If you want to reach a place where nothing disturbs you anymore, you have to create a foundation inside yourself that cannot be shaken. That foundation is inner stillness. It doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't arrive overnight. It's something you build piece by piece, day by day, through small choices and intentional practices that anchor you in calm. Inner stillness is not about escaping life. It's not about locking yourself away from challenges or pretending the noise of the world doesn't exist. It's about cultivating such a deep reservoir of peace within you that no matter what happens on the outside, you can return to that calm center on the inside. In our world, stillness is rare. We live in a culture addicted to busyness, distraction, and noise. We reach for our phones when we wake up, we scroll through endless feeds, we rush from task to task, and we wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor. But in all that noise, we lose touch with ourselves. We lose the ability to hear our own thoughts, to notice our own feelings, to connect with what truly matters. And without stillness, every disturbance feels louder, every problem feels heavier, and every challenge feels impossible to bear. Building inner stillness begins with giving yourself permission to pause. It's about carving out even a few minutes each day where you step away from the noise and reconnect with yourself. That might look like journaling, where you pour your thoughts onto paper until your mind feels lighter. It might look like meditation, where you sit in silence and simply breathe, noticing the rise and fall of your chest. It might look like prayer, where you release your worries to something greater than yourself. Or it could be as simple as taking a slow walk in nature, without music, without your phone, just listening to the rhythm of your footsteps and the whisper of the wind. What matters is not the form, but the intention. Every act of stillness you practice is like placing a brick in the foundation of your peace. At first, it might feel awkward. You may notice how restless you are, how quickly your mind wanders, how uncomfortable silence can be. But over time, you'll begin to crave it. You'll start to notice that stillness doesn't feel empty. It feels full, full of clarity, full of calm, full of strength you didn't know you had. Stillness also teaches you perspective. When you step back from the constant rush, you realize that not every situation is as urgent as it seems, not every comment deserves your attention, and not every problem is yours to solve immediately. Stillness allows you to zoom out and see the bigger picture. It reminds you that you are more than this one moment, more than this one challenge, more than the noise around you. That perspective alone is powerful. It quiets the disturbances before they take over. Another gift of stillness is that it sharpens your ability to respond with intention instead of reacting from impulse. When your inner world is calm, you're less likely to get pulled into drama, less likely to lash out, and less likely to let someone else's chaos dictate your energy. You begin to move with quiet confidence, making choices not from fear or pressure, but from alignment with your values. That kind of presence is unshakable. And here's something beautiful. The more you practice stillness, the more it follows you into the rest of your life. You don't just find it in meditation or journaling. You carry it into conversations, into work, into challenges. You notice yourself breathing slower, speaking softer, thinking clearer. You begin to realize that inner stillness is not just a practice, it becomes a way of being. Peace doesn't come from controlling everything around you. It comes from nurturing everything within you. By building inner stillness daily, you create a sanctuary that no one else can touch. Disturbances may come, storms may rise, chaos may swirl, but deep within you remain steady, calm, and free. That is the kind of strength that transforms not just how you live, but how you love, how you lead, and how you show up in the world.